Welcome back to the Visually Hidden Selects podcast, episode 52. This month's selection was The Nightmare Before Christmas, also known as Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And as I explained in the VHS video, Tim Burton is not the director. So don't be confused and don't be a fool. Don't let him fool you. They're trying to fool you. This is Henry Selick directing, produced by and written and conceived by Tim Burton. And oh boy, I mean, you think about a movie that it's a cult film, but it's surpassed. It's like come back from the dead almost, in a very funny and thematic coincidence. This film, it wasn't tremendously well received because Disney didn't exactly know how to market it. But then over the course of, the years and the VHS sales and rentals and then DVD, it's subsequently been revived and, re-released, like, I think annually. It's pops up in the theater every now and then. Danny Elfman does live performances of the music and songs to sold out audiences, one of which I was fortunate enough to be a part of. I know that when it came out in 1993, I was 10 years old and I really wanted to see it. But at 10 years old, you don't exactly go to the movies when you want. You go to the movies when somebody takes you or they want.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, something I missed in the theater. I remember they were playing clips of it on the news because it was the first feature length stop motion animated movie by a major studio. And it looked great. I was a big Tim Burton fan even then. I knew his name because I knew Batman and Batman Returns and Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice and Pee-wee. And this is actually really funny. Danny Elfman, I think, was even bigger in my life and in my mind and in my world, because when I was a kid, I had trouble reading, but I could read the word Danny and I could read the word elf and I could read the word man. So I could read Danny Elfman in the credits and I would see that name in the credits of all the movies I just mentioned, plus several others, including Back to School and Midnight Run, which I also watched religiously. But he also did the theme for Tales from the Crypt, which I was watching way too young, and The Simpsons. And so there was a period of time in my life where I thought Danny Elfman invented music.
For me, I think we talked about it already, Pete, because this movie, I watched it in a typical situation. It's because in France, when you are at elementary school, I don't know if it still exists, but during my generation, we had a discovery of art house cinema. And because of that, thanks to that, we had to watch emblematic movies. So I'm not sure it was in 1993 because I was 6 years old at that age, at that period. So I think it was maybe when I was 8 or 9 years old. I went to watch Nightmare Before Christmas. During this thing, it was a school visit to an art house cinema, and we watched this film, and then we talked about this film during maybe a month. We had to draw some characters and talk about the deep meaning of this film. So yeah, it was part of the class, So.
I am so jealous and envious and excited. I'm excited for you as a young child to have that in your curriculum,
Yeah.
like in elementary school.
Yeah,
we're gonna go explore art house cinema and study The Nightmare Before Christmas for a month.
Yeah, we had an Italian, a French, and an English movie. So the English movie was Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, they say the American education system is in the toilet, and you just flushed it in.
It's different, let's say that way.
Trey different.
But so yeah, I know this movie since I'm a kid, and for me, this movie is really important. It's funny because in France we don't really celebrate Halloween. So I'm pretty sure the impact you had with this film is not the same for me. For me, it's more a movie about Christmas only, and I guess for you it's really the not the competition, but you know the difference between those two celebration that you have in a very short time. When you think about it, in 2 months you have Halloween and then Christmas, one celebrating death and the other one celebrating life and joy. So it's really the opposites in 2 months, and we don't have that here. So for us, it's like. Rediscovering Christmas.
Stephen, did you get to see it in the theater when it came out?
Yeah, I did. I was very fortunate that my mom took me to see this in the theater and blown away. It's like there's like so much cool stuff coming at you, like the
Yeah.
unbelievable
How old?
character and this.
How
I
old were you?
so it was this 93, right? So I was 12. So I have
Okay.
a a long-standing relationship with this movie.
Yeah.
I have tons of T-shirts, and I have the video game, and I have the soundtrack, and I could for days name all the stuff that I have for this movie. But this movie, I have a deep, deep love for this movie. Not only did I see it when it came out, I saw one of the 3D reissues. I saw one of the sing-along issues, and I was like, I think I've seen it, 3 or 4 times in the theater. So this year when it
Mm.
came back, I was like, I don't need to go, because it was just a standard version of it. But I love this movie. I can't say enough good things about this movie. I think not only is it, I mean, clearly it's the feat and the like you said in the video, it's the gold standard, the high watermark for stop motion animation. But I
Mm.
mean, I think it's one of the best examples of a perfect storm of all artistry,
Mhm.
of writing, acting, singing, puppetry, because that's basically what this is. In a certain way, it's puppetry. Just the set designs, just everything that comes together with this. This is truly an artistic feat. And I remember, in junior high school when we finally got the tape, putting it on constantly and knowing all the words to the songs and singing it while I'm doing my homework. And it was just,
Uh-huh.
and I felt like, you know, in a weird way, I felt like I was the only person who really knew the movie and appreciated it, because it wasn't as big. Now it's like it's massive. It's fucking
Yeah.
everywhere. But like back
Yeah.
then, like 95, I'm sitting there singing this in my house, and I'm like, I think I'm the only person who loves this movie or even knows this movie. And then like like all of a sudden here's the internet around the corner, and then like it grew and it grew and it grew, and now it's like you could fall over somebody who knows the words to the to every one of these songs. So
Yeah.
it's a weird thing how it's like you said, it has a second life, but like it's growing. It's still growing. I still feel like people are still discovering this movie. My kids love this movie now, and I'll wake up and it'll already be on, but I'll know exactly where Jack is from the other room. I don't even have to see the screen. I know the all the sound cues, the musical cues. So yeah,
Yeah.
this has always been a part of my life in a weird way. Even though I it came out when I was 12, it's kind of almost always been there.
Yeah, and I think the fact that the success was so slow is because it's so hard to tag this movie in terms of promotion. As we talked about the fact that it's a Henry Selick movie, but they promoted it with the name of Tim Burton. But also the fact that I guess when you had just an overview of this movie as a parent, it's quite dark for kids, and as an adult, it's an animation movie, so it's not something. If you don't know anything about this movie, it's not something that you're gonna go to watch. You know what I'm saying? It's not really easy to have an opinion about it, to see the creativity in it before watching it.
What's funny, Anne, is you just, yeah, it's funny for me, but you just said that some parents think it's a little too dark, and my mind immediately went to my mom took me to Radio City to see the Black Cauldron. Like so it's like my mom's on a it's like she's always been in a different plane.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like she loves
Yeah.
all this horror and macabre type of stuff. So for
Yeah.
me, it's like this is like par for the course.
Well, I
Yeah.
think another interesting point to piggyback off of what Anne said there was also like, yeah, they marketed it off of Tim Burton's name because back in 1993, with animated movies, they weren't doing what they do now, where like they have to have a star in the
Hmm.
voice performance. It was voice actors, and while there are name actors in this film, none of them are like, household names.
Like Robin Williams was like the first big name
Yeah.
to jump on
Like the
like
way
Aladdin.
exactly, like the way they got Robin Williams, and that was the year before, but it was around the same time because they were filming this movie for a couple years,
Hmm.
because it's stop motion, it's animation just has a long production window. But yeah, that's kind of exactly the point, like Danny Elfman, yeah, I know who he is because he invented music, and Catherine O'Hara. Okay, yeah, I've seen Home Alone and Beetlejuice. I know she's the mom. All right, cool. Glenn Shadix. Oh yeah, he's the guy who played Otho in Beetlejuice. That's what I know him from. When
Yeah,
you tell me, like they aren't household. Paul Reubens. Who's Paul Reubens? You
right.
mean Pee Wee Herman?
Yeah,
Like it's all these names. Chris Sarandon. Like, oh, the guy from Child's Play. Like,
yeah.
and Prince Humperdinck. Like that dude. They're not like, oh, Tom Cruise, Will Smith. Like
Chris Pratt is in everything.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
It's that kind of thing. And so this movie, while it has the tools, it has the talent, but it didn't have that star power to market off of. And Tim Burton was really it because of Batman and Edward Scissorhands. And so that's where like Disney was kind of like, shit.
yeah,
The one thing that really stood out to me, and I mentioned this, and it's gonna be, the elephant in the room. It's the music. I really think, you said it hits on every level across the board, and it does. But I truly believe that it's the music that makes this movie rattle around in your brain long after you've left the theater, rewound the video, or ejected the disc.
yeah,
It's those tunes and the music and even this just the score. Forget about the songs for a minute, like even just the score, because it was right in that sweet spot of Danny Elfman's career, where like he could do no wrong. He was just hitting like dinger after dinger,
hmm,
and this was really no exception. It just kind of highlighted, and then the fact that they like reappropriated part of it for most of the trailers in the 90s. You would go to a movie, and whenever there was like some like whimsical or energetic, emotion to convey about a movie, they would just drop in, what's this, the
which is my
dun, dun,
favorite
dun, dun, dun,
song
dun,
of the
dun, dun,
whole.
dun. Yeah, like just that up tempo, driving a bit of fantasy. And yeah, I think that was another thing where then that tune would be floating around in people's heads from all these different trailers, and then they would trace it back to the source, and they're like, oh, I love this song. They don't know why they love this song, because it's familiar, and it's been all around the world. And then it just kind of like, it just penetrates the mind the way music can and does, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, Danny Elfman has been probably my favorite composer for a long time, but yeah, it's mostly because of that. Like you said, that late '80s into the '90s, he was just crushing on a level that, I mean, except for John Williams, who's like the Michael Jordan of the field. I mean, for me, it's Nightmare Before Christmas is that all that music, man, top of the list, top of the list. And as far as his um discography, I think it's that. I think it's Edward Scissorhands. I mean, the Batman theme from '89 is fucking, that's such a great score. And Beetlejuice,
Hmm.
those might be my four favorites from him. It's probably the best. But this is a
Yeah.
whole other level. This is like, I think, Tim Burton believed that he could do scores when he didn't believe he could do scores. And then it proved that Tim was right. He had a good instinct about him. He had a good feel, and he can do scores. But this proved that he can't, not only can he just write a catchy tune or a catchy whatever, this was like a masterpiece, of his writing and his abilities. It just, not just the background music, but like,
Well, because it brought in his real strength as a songwriter from his, like years in Oingo Boingo.
mhm,
Like he had been writing songs like pop and rock songs, not really pop, but some of it was pop, but rock songs for like over a decade, like that muscle was very strong, in his mind and in his, heart and skills. So it was like, yeah, like it was almost like unfair, like he was like bringing in a ringer,
Yeah.
to write these songs and the music for this movie.
The thing about it is with the writing of these songs, it's not just for me at least. A lot of these animated movies nowadays, if there's a song in it, it's catchy, it's upbeat, it's like whatever. But with
No,
The Nightmare Before
no.
Christmas, he's really diving deep into emotions and just the psyche of the characters, and like
Well,
there's a longing with all the characters for something different, and it comes
if
across in spades.
if you listen to Oingo Boingo, which I hope you all have, and I'm not just talking about Steve and Ann here, but throughout the kingdom, throughout the land, the world should really be listening to Oingo Boingo, because it's like for me personally, it's the Clash and it's Oingo Boingo. It's like 1A and 1B depending upon the day. Like those, that's it. If I'm on a desert island, I'm good. I got that. But Oingo Boingo, the thing that has always attracted me to them, the music aside, are the lyrics. And Danny Elfman has an amazing voice, and if you haven't caught on already, he is the singing voice for Jack Skellington. And that blew my mind when I was like watching my video, and like I was watching the credits and I started reading. I was like, like I couldn't believe that connection. It's like that's him. That's what he sounds like. Like the inventor of music has a voice, you know, and a darn good one too. I couldn't believe that it wasn't the same guy, because like it was so flawless. The performance between him and Chris Sarandon, like they matched it so well. But Oingo Boingo, he is also the singer of the band. He wrote every single song on every single album, and he sang every single one of them. So again, that muscle is just very, very strong. But his lyrics, it's almost like he's writing songs about your dreams. Like it's very vivid, but it's also a little abstract, and there's open to interpretation. It's really just I could talk forever about Danny Elfman and Oingo Boingo and this film. So my point is Danny Elfman.
Period.
But the core of the story is the feeling of Jack. I mean, Jack's feelings about Halloween, and how he feels when he discovers Christmas. So everything is about how you feel, and the melancholy, the nostalgia about Halloween, but also the joy and the hope he has when he discovers Christmas. And I think you feel it in the song, in the musics. So it's really something that could differ to any other type of animation.
Yeah, it's especially when you think it's a kids movie, right? So that's the funny thing. Oh, it's too macabre, it's too scary, it's not appropriate for children. But Jack Skellington is a character who is so good at what he does that he's bored, and he's feels unfulfilled, and he wants more.
It's even more than that. It's really Jack is going through a midlife crisis.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I
know,
felt that way too.
he hit that point where it's like this what do I have? What is there? What I'm just existing to exist,
Yeah, what's the point? Yeah. Mm-mm.
And he's like the what is it, the second song after This Is Halloween is Jack's Lament, where he's in
Mhm.
the graveyard, and
That's my favorite one.
yeah, and he's talking about all these things that he can do, but he's really just so tragically sad and lonely and empty, and like just the metaphor of like him being a skeleton as well. It's like, wow,
Mhm.
this movie's so fucking deep.
Well,
You know?
back to the lyrics. It's Danny Elfman took Tim's sketches and his poem, story, books, however you want to look at that, and gave it a depth, like a real depth to it. And I think
Yeah.
that's what, if people didn't realize it when they were watching it, it resonated with them somewhere on a subconscious level. And that sometimes we all want to expand and broaden our horizons and try something different. And even when people tell you you shouldn't, or that's a terrible,
Mhm.
like, they're already counting down to the next Halloween, and they're all kissing
Mhm.
his ass. He's like surrounded by yes men. He's like, I want something different. I want to branch out, man. And he just takes a
Yeah.
long walk to clear his head, and then he stumbles upon something like, he's like, whoa, what is this
Yeah,
door?
and then there's the story with Sally, and she shares that, they're kindred spirits, they're connected, but Jack is so lost. He's like so deep in his hole that he can, and when he does finally get someone, he finds Christmas Town, and that's, you know, if he had just turned around and seen Sally, might have been a whole different ball game for Jack.
Yeah,
Like he he then got enamored by the glitz and the glamour of Christmas without ever really understanding it because he's the Pumpkin King. And then at the end, finally, Sally is there before him when he realizes, like, oh yeah, Christmas isn't the answer. Like maybe there's something more, you
like the
know?
Grinch,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. He gets obsessed about something new in his kind of professional life, but he doesn't see love at the corner, So
Yeah,
that's
because he's replacing one thing with another. Like it's the same.
mm,
Christmas and Halloween, they're not the same, but they're the same. And
true.
especially the way he's approaching it as like the leader and the ruler of it. And really what he needs is like a complete detour down, another alleyway.
Yeah.
And just to finish with Danny Elfman,
Oh,
to
we're never gonna finish with Danny Elfman. He's gonna keep coming back around and around and around. But go ahead.
but to prepare this podcast, I read some stuff about him, and I read that he said that for him, Jack was the easiest character to write because I mean to write for because he could totally relate to this guy, to Jack. I felt sorry for him. I felt that maybe he was depressed. He was telling the world about it, and nobody cares. I felt really
You know,
bad when
you
I
said
read
this
that
movie's a
about
cry
him.
for help. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, I think it's really moving to think that the guy who sings and the character, the fictional character, are so related to each other.
Well, and I think it's also just, for him and for Jack, Jack, yeah, he's the man and he's surrounded by yes men and everybody loves him and he's the Pumpkin King, but really he's lonely, he's empty, he's a misfit. He doesn't really fit into that world, and that's what is like that drive. It's like I'm here and I can do all these great things, but like, do I belong here? Am I a fraud? Like those kinds of questions and ideas. And for Danny Elfman, yeah, he's the lead singer of this awesome rock band, and he's surrounded by all these people who are telling him like, yeah, man, you're awesome, but am I? So it's that idea of humility and humbleness, and am I really as good, and should I be doing this or should I be doing that? There's that internal conflict that he's facing by like, all right, do I stay on tour with the band or do I go write scores for movies or do I do something completely different? There are parallels in their professional lives because one is a fictional character and one is a man. But so I could see how he could very easily tap into that conflict of personality that Jack is experiencing.
But I wouldn't say that he doesn't fit in his world. I would say because you just said that, but I would say that he did fit in this world, but because of his success and yeah, he kind of locked himself in an image that he doesn't want to be in anymore, and that's also the a parallel. We can make a parallel with someone who is a very good artist or very good sportsman, and suddenly he becomes the number one of his team or the a very successful singer. And sometimes you see that they're not happy anymore because this success is too much, and they feel kind of pressured on the others. You feel the competition, but also the fact that everybody expects something from you that you didn't really want at the beginning of it. So I really feel that he fits in his world. It just it went a bit too far, and he,
Mhm.
he just want to be like the others. He doesn't want to be one beyond the others. I hope, yeah, hope you understood.
Yeah, I always took it as Jack was feeling unfulfilled. He's so good at what he does, and everyone praises him. Like, he's amazing. He's the Pumpkin King. He's the
Mm,
best. He's the best. And they're all so impressed with his abilities to be that. He's like, this is easy. I want to.
mm,
Okay,
yeah,
we'll get ready for the next Halloween. It's
Mhm.
like
yeah.
he finds no joy in what he does anymore because he's so good at it that it's like, okay, it's like I'm not even trying. I think
Yeah,
he
and he's
wanted a
been
new
doing it for
challenge.
so long.
Yeah, a new mountain to climb, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to explore, especially in a kids' film.
about Sally, you can think that at the beginning of the film, you can think that maybe she's kind of in love with him because of that, because of the public image he has. But you understand it's a bit deeper when the film continues. But yeah, at the beginning, you feel that everybody is in love with this guy. So you don't really understand from the very beginning that she's going to be so important in the storytelling.
Yeah, and speaking of the storytelling, the script was originally the adaptation of his poem was originally done by Michael McDowell, who had written Beetlejuice, and he got fired from this movie for drug abuse, and they needed a new script writer. So Danny Elfman looked across the room at his girlfriend Caroline Thompson, who had very recently written The Addams Family, and was like, "You want to talk to Tim?" And so she actually wrote the screenplay for the film based off of McDowell's adaptation of Tim Burton's poem. And her job was to kind of connect all the dots because the songs were already being written and animated. She needed to fill that in and kind of develop the Sally character and make a significant, I guess, story. And she just crushed it, because if you've ever read the original poem slash book, kids book,
She's not in it.
yeah, the story's there, like the essence of the story of Jack not being happy and hijacking Christmas, and then all that. It's there, but it's not the film that you see, and it's not the story in the film that you see. So part of that was McDowell, but really it's Thompson who made it what it is and what we love and what we've been enjoying. Her in conjunction with Danny Elfman, which of course, yeah, she's living with him, listening to these songs being written, and played every day. It's like, how could that not seep into her where it's like, oh, I know exactly where he's coming from and going with this. Let me just fill in these blanks. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is. And just even their relationship and the fact that she brought Sally so far into the foreground and then Danny Elfman's connection to Jack, it's like, wow, what are we not seeing here? Like what's the story behind the story?
There's no end in sight, I think, for this movie, and I'm still shocked that it hasn't been put up on Broadway as a full fledged musical yet. I can't believe
Mm.
with some of the things we've seen lately that this thing hasn't made it to
I
Broadway yet.
think that check is in the mail. I think it's going to happen.
Totally, yeah. There have been, I think, small versions of it that people have done, probably illegally places, but I can't imagine that Disney wouldn't want to capitalize and throw this on Broadway because they would make a fortune.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if they announced that at, the posting of this podcast.
Right? Yeah.
You never know who's listening.
This just in. Um,
Stephen Bendler had another great idea.
I know.
Move.
I know they're listening to me.
Swarm.
But I want to see when we talk about the music. And Danny Elfman's voice is incredible. But let's talk about Ken Page for a second, who we
I
love.
was just thinking we need to be talking about Oogie Boogie because, it's another just interesting element of the story. Like he's the antagonist, but he's not like a villain. He's just a guy in Halloween Town who has his own agenda, like,
Yeah,
and they just cross paths in an interesting way. And yeah, Ken Page as the voice, it's like, it's for me, I will always, he has such a strong voice and such a like unique character voice, but at the same time, whenever I hear Oogie Boogie, there's a part of my mind where I gotta say, it's not Audrey 2, asshole.
Yeah, me too.
It's not Audrey 2.
Yeah, me too. At 1000%, I'm right there with you. That's a show-stopping song, Oogie
Yeah.
Boogie doing his thing, and the roulette wheel, and just rolling the
Hmm.
dice, and gambling and chance and all that stuff is just so. It goes like that deep neon, and it's just a whole other element because you've got the monochromatic stuff for Halloween Town, you've got the ultra bright and cheery stuff for Christmas Town, but then you've got this seedy underworld kind of a thing where you have all these new colors and this whole new vibe brought in. So it's so cool to see all these different aesthetics in one film.
Yeah, well, and again, to just bring it back around to the music and the writing and Danny Elfman, he his first film is The Forbidden Zone, which is written and directed by his brother Richard Elfman, and he's in the movie. Danny Elfman is in the movie as Satan, and he's singing a rendition of Minnie the Moocher, which is a Cab Calloway song, Squeeze It the Moocher. But when you hear that song, whether it's Minnie or Squeeze It, the Moocher, and you hear Oogie Boogie's song, it's like, oh, there's the cousin,
Mhm.
there's the musical cousin of this song. And so you follow that trail of inspiration and you can see, oh wow, Danny Elfman was like, listening to this kind of music. It's no wonder that he can go into any genre and present. It's no wonder that he can go from this very eclectic rock band to film score and composing.
About Hoogie Boogie, I need some explanation from you because this character, I don't really know Hoogie Boogie. I guess it's a monster well known in your country, but not in France. So I never understood the thing about being scared of this guy. For me, when you watch Nightmare Before Christmas, I'm more scared about Jack the skeleton or the three horrible kids, the boogie kids. Then the fatty sandbag. I mean, I never understood that.
Well, he's the boogeyman. Are you familiar with the boogeyman?
Not really.
Okay, well, the boogeyman, he's just a, mythical monster that like hides in the shadows of a
Mm.
kid's bedroom or closet. So he could be anywhere, he could be anything. And so here he's personified as a burlap sack filled with insects, but that's because he could be anything. There is no like manual, like an instruction manual. Like this is how you make Oogie Boogie. Like he's Oogie Boogie in the film, but he's the boogeyman. He's the Oogie Boogie man. So
Mm.
and the
He's just like a
Oogie is
bad
just
dude
kind of
in Halloween
yeah.
Town.
Yeah, he's exclusive to the movie and the story, but like Oogie Boogie, Oogie is like, oh, he's the gross boogeyman because he's filled with bugs, you know.
But don't you think the three kids are more terrifying?
Lock, shock, and
Uh,
barrel.
no, because they didn't try to drop anybody in boiling lava,
True. Good
and
point.
they didn't send out a hit on Santa Claus.
Put him in liquid hot
they
magma.
they just executed, the order. So no, I mean, I think everybody in Halloween Town kind of has their own strength, and that's why they live there.
I
Mhm.
love the mayor when he turns his face. I mean, I
Great
like him.
Halloween, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're and Dr. Finkelstein.
Oh yeah.
He's a great character, and William Hickey does his voice, and oh, what perfect voice casting that was!
Hmm. I love that guy.
Brilliant, genius, amazing, and totally believable. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, sometimes you watch an animated movie and maybe one of the voices doesn't exactly quite fit, especially nowadays where it's just celebrities hired to be on, the poster. But in this one, everybody just fits like a glove into their character, and Catherine O'Hara and Danny Elfman, they pull double duty with the kids because Danny Elfman is Shock, the round skeleton kid, and Catherine O'Hara, who plays the voice of Sally, is also Beryl, the witch girl. And rounding out the trio is Paul Reubens, Pee Wee Herman, which is, just a great, amazing performance. I think we talked a little bit about that when we talked about the Pee Wee documentary on coming distractions over the summer. But yeah, it's just fantastic casting all around. Whether it's Chris Sarandon, who I guess is the name, and
Yeah.
Catherine O'Hara, but then all these just little voices filling in the gaps.
You brought up the name of my dear friend Catherine O'Hara, who I love, and her voice in this is so unique in the sense of it's so there's a fragility to Sally and a softness to Sally that is completely different than we see Delia in Beetlejuice, or even just the hominess of Mrs. McAllister in Home Alone. It's a very unique and different performance from her, and it just shows you how much range that woman actually has.
It's insane how talented Catherine O'Hara is. It really, really is. She is just remarkable in just about everything, and I think a lot of it comes just from that background training of Second City and the improvisational skills and the ability to instantly, on a dime, just change who you are and what direction you're going, and the conviction to go in
Mhm.
that direction.
Yeah, because Schitt's Creek, she's crazy on that show. So entertaining and so fun, but so different. And so you see her doing something like this, it's like, wow, that's a whole other level to this lady. And what a beautiful singing voice,
Mm-hmm.
So like, the Sally stuff is so poignant and so beautiful and touching. And and how she feels for Jack, and she longs to be with him, and she looks up at his window admiring him. And
And I the one thing that I really love about Jack and Sally and their story is like it's not like a typical romance or like a human romance where it's like this like sense of like physical attraction or anything.
Mhm.
Like their attraction is like on a different level. It's definitely an emotional level that they are connecting, or that she's connecting to him on, and that he finally comes around to. But yeah, I've always kind of enjoyed that aspect and element of the story and their relationship, is that, like they're just they're penetrating, that's not the right word. They're connecting on a different level, and I feel like that's also a pretty astounding thing to have in a kids movie.
That
That like it's not just about because like Aladdin, for example. It's like, oh yeah, Jasmine, she's like, drawn like a fucking exaggerated hourglass, and Aladdin himself is like has these like chiseled good looks and a six pack. It's like, oh yeah, he's all right, cool, good for them, and so there's that element of attraction that's like in their characters, whereas Sally is like broken and stitched together. She's like patchwork all over, and Jack is a fucking skeleton. Like he's like literally just like bone. He's not even skin and bones. He's just bone, and there are no discernible features. He is just a blank skull, He's like the Michael Myers, like it's a blank canvas. Empty eyes, blackest eyes, the
the
devil's
devil's eyes.
eyes, you know? So there's more to these characters than that superficiality. And I love that.
Yeah. If you think about the shit that it caught for being like not appropriate for kids and all this other stuff, man, did it open up a doorway for movies to come? These animated, movies like Igor with John Cusack, and what was the Monster House, and all these other movies that now like were popping up. These animated films, or computer animated films. It's like, yeah, I don't think you would have got there, Paranorman and all these other movies, if you didn't have The Nightmare Before Christmas. I think it opened up the door for, hey, there's a market for this, and it's kids like scary stuff too, and
Well, it's interesting too because he had done his first real film was Vincent,
mhm,
stop motion animation. It's like 7 minutes and it's amazing.
mhm,
It's really like one of the best things you'll ever see. It's like as far as short films go, it's right up there with Thriller, and of course the common thread is Vincent Price. So go figure,
mhm.
making everything on this planet better with just his existence. But then he did Frankenweenie, which was then reappropriated into a stop motion animation. So stop motion animation is kind of, it's almost a hallmark of his style. And I mentioned this in the video too, because you see it in Beetlejuice, you see it in Pee-wee.
Mhm.
You know, it's something that he continues to come back to.
See, did
And
Beetlejuice? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I I just I think that is also a real asset to this film in terms of its staying power and its resonation, like it has such a unique look and it is so good. It is so good looking. Like if this was 2D traditional animation, I don't think we'd be talking about it even with the music, and I don't think if it was, reimagined in CGI or computer animation, I don't think it would be as like if of course we weren't there yet cuz Toy Story was still 2 years away, but if it was like reimagined, I don't think it would hold up as well as it does. There's something about the texture of the clay
Mhm.
and the stop motion animation that just gives these characters a unique life, like an actual tangible life. You can see it. You can see the shadows, you know, that they are casting.
Yeah, again, it's so funny that you just mentioned Toy Story because that's one of my favorite films of all time. But the point I was thinking about was Toy Story 1 is awesome. It's epic, it's groundbreaking, it's a definite classic. But when you fast forward to Toy Story 4, you could see the improvements in the technology and how vastly sharper and crisper and
Yeah.
cleaner things have gotten. Whereas Nightmare still looks excellent.
Yeah.
It doesn't age. That's the funny thing. Like it has that, like you said, it has that texture to it, and that's the texture, and it's unlike anything else. Even like Corpse Bride, it's different. Even Frankie Wee, it's different. There's a texture to Nightmare that lends itself to let it be ageless, and you can't tell when this movie came out. And let me ask you a question: what did you think about Sally as a female character? Because I know you're always looking for good female characters. Do you think she's a good female character, or do you think she's lacking? Or like, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Interesting question because I had a different opinion when I was a kid than now. When I was a kid, I didn't understand why she was not so enthusiastic about Jack getting crazy about Christmas. Because when you think about it, she's looking for independence. I mean, she's kind of a slave of her creator, so she has an opportunity to get close to the guy she's attracted to and to have a great adventure, so I didn't understand why she was so reluctant. Okay, she has her strange vision, but when you're a kid you don't really get that thing. And I think when you get older you really get the meaning of love and the fact that you know what you want to protect someone you love from something that could endanger him. I hope I'm clear in what I'm saying, but this aspect I think you don't really understand it when you're a kid. And that's another example that those kind of movies you can watch them when you're a kid and watch them when you're an adult and you see something different, but you still really uh, you still enjoying the moment. But it's a kind of a different story when you have a different perspective of a character. I hope I'm clear in what I'm saying. But this
Yeah,
character especially is different when you're a kid and when you're an adult. I feel that way. But yeah, for me, she's a very strong woman. When you think about it, she put poison in the soup of, of her creator all the time. I think she's really smart. She's really smart, but you feel bad for her.
but I always thought, like, to what Pete had said before, they brought in Caroline Thompson to to pull the whole thing together. And then, Sally's not in that book, so Sally's like, that's her deal. I mean, I don't know how much McDowell had to do with Sally, on his draft, but I feel like that's Caroline Thompson's biggest contribution, and not to to downplay her other contributions in the film, but I think that character specifically is her biggest contribution. That was like her mark
Mhm.
on the film, and she gave Sally a beautiful voice.
And there's a topic quite close to my heart in this movie. It's the thin line between curiosity and cultural reappropriation. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
The fact that, especially, I'm the foreigner here, so I lived in America, I lived in the US, and I don't really like the cliches. For example, I have coworkers, they went to New York recently, and when they came back, they were like, for breakfast, the American, they only drink how do you call that, the cold latte from Starbucks or things like that. It's not true. It's not because you're seeing an American drinking that in the morning that it's the typical American breakfast. And that's the same with Americans. When you come to France, you see you think that people have a beret, the hat, because you just saw one, but probably it's a whole guy and nobody wears that anymore. So it's
Hey,
really
I bought
that.
one of
So
those on my honeymoon. Okay, I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, you told me. Yeah,
but not my
but
honeymoon.
really,
When we got engaged, rather. Sorry,
it's for tourists to be frank.
my souvenir.
Yeah, it's a souvenir. But it's and I think that's the same with Jack. I mean, it's really healthy to be curious about something new. It's really, for me, it's a healthy way of thinking. And you ask questions, you want to know more about it, maybe you want to live the experience. That's great, but don't take it and try to transform it to something that really is more related to your everyday life. I mean, for me, it doesn't make sense to do that. So yeah, I think this topic is something really important in this movie. And sometimes you think about the love story and everything, but you don't think about that. It's a nice way to show the danger to take something from someone else. I hope you know what I'm saying.
1000%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's a really great point to bring up as well, because we're talking about all these themes in the movie, and we've talked about like the romantic connection, and we've talked about Jack's depression and midlife crisis, and I think that's also just another, like, it's a big concept for a animated kids movie to explore, is that idea of, like, oh yeah, let's take this, we like this thing because it's different, now let's make it our thing, that's our thing that we like, like, why don't you just enjoy it for what it is? And that's like that's another just great theme about the movie, is like the world for all it has to offer you, like yourself for who you are, and enjoy the company that's around you. That'll about do it for us here today at the Visual Hidden Selects podcast. We will be discussing a completely different film next time, so make sure you head on over to our YouTube channel and subscribe so you don't miss any future selections. You can catch Stephen Bendler over at Steve's Pop Culture Corner on Instagram. Anna and I, of course, are also on Instagram as well as Letterboxd, so you can follow us over there and find out what we've been watching and see what we think. And until next time, Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.